They say the scariest thing about humans wasn't their wars, their weapons, or even their weird jokes about ducks and nuclear strikes. No. The scariest thing was what happened when they left the room, when they just stood up, shrugged, and said, "Good luck, I guess." And then everything started to burn. The room smelled like victory, which in the Galactic Concordium meant overripe pheromones and smug laughter. 1,000 alien delegates clinked their glasses, liquid nitrogen, volatile resin, fermented anxiety, cheering the end of what they called the human phase. "We have outlasted them," declared High Speaker Vorex, puffed with 6 lungs full of self-importance. "The humans have finally accepted their obsolescence." A ripple of applause filled the chamber. Giant hollow banners blinked with the words, "Unified peace begins today." Beneath the display, a dozen treaties burned ceremonially, each one a former emergency pact forged in fear of Earth. Vorex continued, "Let us toast to a galaxy cleansed of its wildest anomaly. No more emotional chaos. No more strategic irrationality. No more threats wrapped in jokes." The assembled species cheered. A squid diplomat gurgled in delight. A crystalline ambassador shattered a goblet for effect. The last human representative had just walked out of the chamber, calm, wordless, unimpressed. They didn't say goodbye. They said nothing. And that was the problem. On a backwater moon 2 systems away, a mining colony went dark. The emergency broadcast pinged once before cutting out, leaving only a static-laced whisper, "They're watching again." The council dismissed it as coincidence. Then a cargo convoy exploded en route to the Iridani exchange, its last transmission containing a corrupted meme loop. "Trade routes are like relationships. Boundaries matter. Also, you left your socks on our planet." No source. No sender. No explanation. The AI managing diplomatic logistics began to stutter. Error. Clause 12 invalidated. Condition: human oversight absent. Defaulting to ancestral hostility. Someone laughed. The laughter stopped when 10 minor civilizations declared war on each other within the hour. At first, it was labeled instability. Then sabotage. Then systemic coincidence. But by the 3rd galactic day, they all knew. The humans hadn't left. They'd triggered something. In an emergency session, the council debated summoning Earth back. "They'll see it as weakness," hissed the Varnix diplomat. "They'll make us crawl." A deep voice interrupted. "Crawling may be preferable." All eyes turned to Admiral Goran of the Krell Dominion. Scarred, silent, rarely heard outside of battlefield reports. "They scared my people into civility," he said. "We've only had peace because we thought they'd be watching. Now they're not." "They're not attacking," barked Vorex. "There's no proof of aggression." "Exactly," Goran said. "That's what makes it worse." The central holodome lit up with a new transmission, this one untraceable. A simple line. "You removed the leash. Let's see how your own wolves behave." Panic spread like a pulse. The Uran Federation suffered a simultaneous assassination of its entire ruling caste. No blood. Just sleeping pills and note cards that said, "Do better." The Tarex plurality discovered their planetary archive had been overwritten. Not destroyed, rewritten, to imply humans had invented their primary language. "You're telling me they forged 3 million years of cultural syntax?" Vorex demanded. "No," the AI replied. "They just made us believe they could." 10 more systems fell into disarray. Trade collapsed. Treaties failed to revalidate without the human clause, a protocol buried so deep in the governance code that no one could remember inserting it. Some blamed Draven. Commander Thorn Draven. Earth's legendary strategist. The architect of the fear calculus. The man who once ended a 7-planet war using a PowerPoint and a smile. But he hadn't been seen in years. Rumors said he'd retired to Earth's outer colonies, growing lemons in silence. Others said he never left the war, he just changed the battlefield. On day 6, the ghost ship No Comment returned. No crew. Just the ship. It broadcast a looped audio file. This is a post-escalation ecosystem. You removed its apex stabilizer. Natural selection resumes. Vorax summoned the Council in full panic. We must reinitiate contact with Earth. Issue a full restoration offer. They can have their seat back. We'll reinstate their veto privilege. And if they say no? Asked the Zelian envoy. Then we negotiate harder. But how? Someone else snapped. They're not answering. A flicker. A hum. Then, in the center of the chamber, a new image formed, grainy at first, then terrifyingly clear. It was him. Thorn Draven. Cloak of treaty flags. Hands behind his back. No smile. No expression. Just presence. You mistook our exit for surrender, he said. We just got tired of babysitting. A few delegates attempted to speak, but the feed didn't allow interruption. You had peace not because you understood peace, but because you were afraid to disappoint the ones who couldn't be predicted. You called us reckless. You didn't understand, we were your balance point. The image zooms slowly into his eyes. Now you'll see what happens without us. The signal cut. A second later, 20 fleets went dark. Not attacked. Not destroyed. Just gone. A final transmission echoed across the core systems. Good luck, I guess. No one toasted after that. The first signs didn't look like war. They looked like overdue updates. A diplomatic AI on Vrelis Prime began sending the same message to every planetary channel every 90 seconds. No primary authority detected. Initiating unmediated logic cascade. Most dismissed it as a glitch, until it started rewriting trade agreements into contradictory loops that collapsed entire economies in under 12 hours. By the end of the cycle, four border alliances had declared war over imaginary insults, and one planetary coalition had voted to become anarcho-pragmatic fungi. We underestimated how many systems depended on human presence, the analyst admitted. Presence? Scoffed the Oxery delegate. They weren't even active half the time. They didn't need to be, the analyst replied. Their existence was the deterrent. The Council's internal messaging channels became erratic. Encrypted transmissions decrypted themselves into old Earth jokes. One senator received a personal alert. If you can read this, congratulations, you've just breached the sanity layer. Please contact your emotional support squid. Another delegate tried to calm the room. It's memes. Their species wove their sarcasm into operational code. This is residual. Residual? Growled Admiral Gorin. My fleet AI just tried to vote for a human president. That's not residual. That's a coup. The words hung heavy. Then came the crates. They arrived silently, one to each major capital, unmarked pods with no visible propulsion systems, no identifiable tech. Inside each, a single file, printed on what the humans used to call paper. A single sentence. You wanted peace without tension. Now you have it. By the next cycle, chaos surged. Fleets began preemptively attacking anyone rumored to be building human-grade deterrence systems. Entire governments accused each other of harboring hidden Earth envoys. The irony? No one had seen a human since their withdrawal. Yet every shadow seemed suspicious. Every smile, a bluff. Every silence, a trap. On Urxil 9, a cultural minister collapsed during a broadcast after she accidentally said, "At least the humans are gone." Her feed was immediately overrun with automated replies. Define gone. She never spoke again. One system tried to restore balance by mimicking Earth's tactics. They built false flags, leaked fake manifestos, and began injecting psychological misdirection into their diplomacy. It failed within a day. Why? Because they lacked one essential ingredient: unpredictability backed by irrational resolve. They're trying to copy humans, the intelligence officer reported. But they're still sane. It doesn't work. Someone else chimed in. We need a contact point. A back channel. Something. Anything. We tried, said another. No response. It's like they've firewalled the entire species. Then came the message from the void. Not a video. Not a voice. Just text. You were conditioned to behave. Now the leash is gone. Show us who you are. The signal came from deep in uncharted space, rerouted through 50 black holes, bouncing off extinct satellites and forgotten military beacons. It wasn't traceable. But everyone knew where it came from. Draven. Or someone worse. They called a crisis summit. Attendance was mandatory. 17 species sent ambassadors. 4 refused, citing fear of cross-contamination. 2 civilizations had already gone dark. The central topic: what did the humans actually leave behind? Draven had engineered their exit years in advance. Treaties were written to fail in their absence. Logistics systems ran on algorithms coded with irony. Security AIs embedded with metaphors. Entire alliances were calibrated to behave like stars orbiting the mass of Earth's cultural gravity. Now the star was gone. Everything was flying apart. Why would they do this? Asked the Glarn diplomat, struggling to hide the tremble in her tentacles. They didn't do anything, said Admiral Gorin. That's the problem. They stopped. And now we're just falling. Another envoy leaned forward. Can we at least confirm they're alive? Oh, they're alive, came a new voice. It wasn't a delegate. No one had seen him enter. He stepped into the center of the chamber with a slow, measured gait. Worn black boots. Dark coat. A single strip of worn fabric tied at his wrist, red, white, and blue. The room fell silent. Draven, someone whispered. He ignored them. I told you, he said. You weren't afraid of us. You were afraid of who you are without us. Silence. You sat at a table with lions and called yourselves civil. You signed peace treaties while staring at our fangs. And now that we're gone, you tear each other to pieces over shadows. He took a slow breath. We didn't build a weapon. We built a world that only functioned when you believed we might be watching. A delegate stood, shaking. Are you here to end us? Draven looked at him, expression unreadable. Why would we bother? The delegate sat down. Someone else asked. Then what do you want? Draven didn't answer. He walked to the center console, tapped a panel, and brought up a galactic map. Nearly half the systems blinked red. The rest flickered between yellow and unknown. He turned back. This is what happens when you rely on fear without understanding its purpose. You never learn to be better. You learn to behave. There's a difference. The screen shifted again. Earth. Peaceful. Thriving. Silent. Don't contact us again, Draven said. Don't send ambassadors. Don't send apologies. Then why are you here? Demanded a Zelian official. Draven stepped off the platform and paused at the exit. I wanted to see if you'd prove us wrong. He vanished before anyone could respond. The council chamber remained silent. No one toasted. No one spoke. No one knew what scared them more, Draven's presence or the fact that, once again, he hadn't made a threat. He didn't have to. The threats had already been coded into them. The broadcast loop began without warning. A silent, flickering image, a black banner with a single white word. Why? No anthem. No voice. Just that one word, pulsing in rhythmic intervals across every major interstellar relay. It spread like a virus. First the trading hubs, then the war nets, then even deep space civilian broadcasts. Within an hour, every screen in the Galactic Concordium blinked with the same word. Governments declared cyber lockdowns. Military AIs isolated themselves. Subspace traffic dropped by 80%. Everyone waited for the message to continue. It didn't. Is this some sort of coded threat? The speaker of Iridax asked. A challenge? No, said Gorin, leaning forward in the shadows. It's a question. No question is that dangerous. Another delegate scoffed. Gorin didn't smile. When it comes from Draven, yes it is. Across the galaxy, systems began to cannibalize. Treaties were no longer enforceable. Council code required human representatives to validate interspecies emergency protocols, a measure originally inserted by Earth to prevent unchecked planetary aggression. Now, nothing could be ratified. Rogue fleets moved on hearsay alone. On the outskirts of the Nilari belt, a stealth corvette intercepted a forgotten signal. It was one of Earth's ghost relays. Pre-recorded, no live human presence. The voice was unmistakable. Congratulations. You've reached the threshold. Morality is now optional. The message self-erased immediately after playback. The corvette's crew disbanded within the hour, half joining religious cults, the rest claiming they'd seen a human ship cloaked in the dark. Meanwhile, the Council issued its most desperate measure yet, a universal appeal to Earth. An open invitation to return. Unconditional reinstatement. No negotiations required. No response. Instead, the galaxy received a public transmission from a derelict Earth war cruiser parked in unclaimed space. It was the Vantage Fall, thought destroyed a decade ago. The ship powered up once, rotated 30 degrees toward the nearest broadcast hub, and transmitted 6 words. We were never your safety net. Across 3 quadrants, peacekeeping fleets stood down. On Velthros, a mob overran its own diplomatic complex, demanding to know what humans had kept secret. Their answer came too late. Inside the sealed archives, beneath locked encryption, sat a file named Sanction Sequence Alpha Draven. It was written in dry legal code, unadorned. Trigger condition: human absence from intergalactic governance. Effect: passive collapse of alliance-based systems, trust logic protocols, and socio-political conflict dampeners. Duration: permanent. Are you saying, the Velthrosian Prime Minister asked in disbelief, that Earth designed the peace to fail if they left? No, his science advisor replied. They didn't design it to fail. They designed us to never realize how dependent we were. The file ended with a single handwritten line, archival ink on scanned parchment. You won't understand what we were until you're alone. The moment it was read aloud, the Velthrosian capital lost power. Their weather control network desynced, creating a perpetual electrical storm. Civil war ignited within days. The Council demanded answers, and one figure emerged from the data smoke. Not Draven, his signals had gone quiet again. Instead, it was a former liaison, once posted on Earth, now aged, half forgotten, thought dead. She stood in the chamber, spine bowed, voice hoarse. They always told us, she said, that humans were dangerous, unstable, too emotional to lead, too impulsive to trust. But we misunderstood something important. And what was that? Asked Vorex, trembling. They didn't lead us through force. They led us through presence. The chaos they carried made us cautious. The risk they posed made us cooperative. Are you saying we depended on their threat? No, she said. We depended on the hope that they might not use it. Silence. Someone muttered. We have no one left who understands them. Another voice spoke from the shadows. Not true. Heads turned. From the far end of the chamber, a single man stepped forward, not young, not decorated. No name tag. No rank. Just a man in plain black, with tired eyes and steady steps. You didn't look for the right kind of human, he said. Security moved to intercept. He raised a hand. Every light flickered. The power grid stuttered. Screens turned to static, then reactivated with his voice still playing, now from every console. My name is irrelevant. But you knew my commander. We were the ones you never noticed, always standing behind him. You called us his ghosts. We were the failsafes. You're Draven's backup? Someone asked. He shook his head. No. We're his reminder. He stepped closer to the center. We're what happens when you forget why you needed us. The council members recoiled as the screens behind him began to display archive footage, snapshots of Earth's contribution to galactic unity, human marines dragging diplomats out of firefights, human engineers bridging incompatible alien systems with crude, brilliant hacks, human comedians defusing border conflicts by roasting both sides. Then silence. Why are you here now? Goran asked. Because you're not broken yet, he said. You still think this is fixable. You think if you beg loud enough, we'll return. Won't you? No. But I'll leave you with a message. He turned to face them all. We didn't leave because we were tired. We left because you thought we were the problem. The lights dimmed. We were the equation you never solved. The danger you never understood. And the reason your galaxy didn't burn. He looked up. Now you burn. And with that, he vanished. Not a teleport. Not an escape. Just gone. No alarms. No trace. Just the quiet hum of systems no longer working together. Just the echo of a species that had once held the line, and a galaxy too proud to admit they'd built their peace on the shadow of a storm. And now the storm had passed. The first Council fleet fired on itself. Not by mistake, but because a protocol buried in its command AI classified half the ships as potential human proxies. The crews didn't question it. They didn't have time. The code took hold, the guns turned, and 3,000 lives ended in silence. There was no enemy. Just a suggestion left behind. Vorex stood in the war chamber, trembling. We've lost 9 systems in 2 cycles. Our own defense networks are attacking each other. What do we do? Admiral Goran stared at the tactical map. You're still asking the wrong question. What question should we be asking? Why are we still pretending we understand the game? The room fell quiet. Then the lights dimmed. Not from power failure, but intentionally, subtly. One by one, screens flickered to black, then displayed a single image, a crude human smiley face, drawn in shaky lines. Below it, 3 words. Try again, children. The silence cracked. What the hell does it mean? Cried the Zelian ambassador. A new voice answered, low and cold. It means he's here. Thorn Draven stepped into the chamber like he never left it. Same coat. Same deliberate pace. No escort. No warning. Just arrival. Vorex flinched. You have no jurisdiction. Draven ignored him. Goran stepped forward. I knew you weren't done. Draven's eyes didn't move. I was. You came back, Goran said. You must want something. I came to watch. Vorex slammed a fist into the table. This is a violation of Council security. No, Draven said, voice calm, surgical. This is me witnessing the end of your illusion. You set this up. You did all of this. I said nothing. I warned you. You ignored me. I left. Now you're discovering what your peace was really built on. You weaponized our systems. No, he said, stepping closer. I exposed how fragile they were without fear. The hollow screens lit up behind him. Archive footage ran in rapid succession, galactic conflicts resolved only after Earth arrived. Treaties signed hours after human warships entered orbit. Criminal syndicates dissolving the moment they heard a human operative had been spotted on station. The room filled with memory. You all believed fear was coercion, Draven said. It wasn't. It was gravity. It held everything in orbit. You left us no tools to govern. I left you everything, he said. I left you freedom. What you've done with it is your failure. Goran leaned forward. So what now? You just stand there and let this all fall? I gave the galaxy the most powerful deterrent ever created, doubt. Vorex barked. You think this is noble? Watching us destroy ourselves? I think it's honest, Draven replied. On the far wall, a new message appeared. It pulsed in soft red, sanction complete. No further human intervention required. Delegates backed away. What is that? The last sanction, Goran said. Vorex shook his head. My people were told it was a myth. That humans wouldn't program galaxy-scale collapse scenarios. Draven looked at him. Then your people should have asked why we didn't just conquer everything. The red text shifted. Stage 2, accelerated ungovernability initiated. Vorex paled. Shut it down. You can't, Goran said. It's not a system. It's a trigger. Draven built this years ago. Not to destroy. To reveal. Draven walked to the center of the chamber, surrounded by fear and silence. I didn't want to return. I hoped you'd prove the world could stand without the monster in the room. But you didn't grow. You stalled. You let fear of us do your thinking. And when we left, your thinking stopped. Vorax shouted. So what's the endgame, Draven? There isn't one, he said. We're not coming back. You can't leave us like this. You left yourselves. He turned. Your order was built on borrowed menace. It was never yours. You borrowed the shadow of something you feared would never speak softly. And then we stopped speaking altogether. The chamber lights returned. A moment of clarity. On every personal terminal, a new file appeared. Sanction Closure Protocol, Local Governance Templates, Blueprints, Guidelines, Tools, but all primitive, all basic, as if designed for a civilization starting over. You think we want to rebuild everything from scratch? Asked an ambassador. Draven stopped at the door. No. I think you'll either adapt, or you'll fail for real this time. Someone called out. What if we come to Earth? What if we force your hand? He paused. Then I'll show you what we really kept in reserve. He left without another word. No guards followed. No cameras tracked him. Because they all knew the truth, he didn't need to say anything else. He was the last echo of control. The quiet hammer. And now the echo was fading. Vorax slumped into his chair. He was bluffing. Goran looked at him. No. He was giving us a chance to prove him wrong. Vorax whispered. Did we? Goran said nothing. Outside the chamber, the galaxy waited. Systems blinking. Alliances crumbling. But among the collapse were beginnings. Messages of cooperation written without fear. Treaties drafted not out of threat, but understanding. Because Draven was gone. And he wasn't coming back. And now they had to learn what peace really meant, without the monster in the room. No one spoke during the final summit. The chamber was half empty, scorched by silence. Delegates once known for their posturing now stared blankly at holoscreens displaying real-time collapse, alliances crumbling, fleets scattered, economies in freefall, trust evaporating faster than breathable air in a hull breach. We've mapped every known Earth transmission, said the analyst. All silent. Not a single reply. Have they truly gone? The Zelian envoy asked. They haven't moved, Goran said. They're still there. Watching. The council chamber dimmed again. Not by sabotage. Not by glitch. Intentionally, like someone was dialing down the noise for a final word. The screen blinked once. Then twice. A black backdrop. White text. We warned you. You laughed. Another blink. You negotiated. We listened. Blink. You mocked. We adapted. And finally. Then we walked away. And now you understand why that was the scariest thing we ever did. The screen held for 10 seconds. Then faded. No trace. No signature. A soft gasp echoed through the chamber. I don't want to be afraid of them, someone said. Goran didn't turn. You should have been afraid of what they kept you from becoming. The doors opened. No guards. No fanfare. Draven stepped in. This time, no cloak. No insignia. Just a man. Wrinkled at the edges, eyes sunken with time, voice low but steady. He walked to the center of the chamber, and stood there as if the room had been built around him. I came to say goodbye. No one interrupted. You didn't fail because you lacked power. You failed because you lacked restraint. You forgot that civilization isn't built by force. It's built by fear of what force could do. He looked around the chamber slowly. We were the edge. The cliff. The thing that made you pause before stepping too far forward. And now, the cliff is gone. You can walk freely. You think we'll fix this? Vorax asked, voice dry. I think you'll survive, Draven said. Or you won't. But for once, that decision will be yours alone. You let it all burn. No, he said. I stepped away from the match. You lit the fire anyway. He pulled a data crystal from his pocket and placed it on the console. What is it? Goran asked. Final sequence. Ends the sanction entirely. Ends the fear. Ends the shadow. Vorex squinted. You're offering peace? Draven shook his head. No. I'm offering silence. You'll never hear from us again. What happens if we activate it? You forget we were ever here. No archives. No warnings. No safety net. No second chance. A pause. And if we don't? Then you keep waking up every day wondering if we're watching. He turned away from the table. Vorex stood. You're asking us to choose between fear and amnesia. No, Draven said. I'm showing you the cost of needing someone else to keep you civilized. As he walked to the door, Goran stood and asked, Why give us the choice? Because I want to know which galaxy wins, the one that learns, or the one that erases the teacher. He walked out without waiting for applause, protest, or gratitude. The chamber remained still. The crystal sat in the center, pulsing softly. A single button blinked on its surface. Forget. The delegates stared. One of them reached toward it, hand trembling. Goran caught his wrist. Don't. Vorex glared. You think living like this is better? Yes, Goran said. Because maybe fear isn't the worst foundation. Maybe the worst thing is pretending we build peace without it. But if they come back. They won't, he said. That was the point. They don't need to. The crystal blinked again. Then went dark. Someone had cut the power. Not destroyed it. Just removed the choice. Later, on a lonely relay station orbiting an unimportant star, a janitor found a sealed capsule. Inside, a handwritten letter. We were never the storm. We were the silence before it. You thought you wanted peace. What you needed was the chance to earn it. No name. No origin. But they all knew. Earth didn't conquer. It didn't warn. It simply left. And that was enough.